everyone, welcome to another video. The team that we're going to be taking an in-depth look at today is our 2024 Oklahoma Sooners football team. We're going to do a complete breakdown of this team, preview who they added to this year's roster, who they lost from last year's team, but also trying to predict the outcome for their entire 2024 schedule. We're going to go game by game, see which games we think they're going to win, lose, and what we predict their final record will be. This is our final predictions. The season is about to begin. We have 1 week left. It's almost about to happen. It's finally here. Go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below, and I will make sure to respond. So our 2024 Oklahoma Sooners, welcome to the SEC. So them and Texas have left the Big 12. They're now part of the SEC. The SEC is the best conference in all of college football, the deepest conference in all of college football, and it just got better. It just got deeper. You are adding 2 perennial top 25 teams with Texas and with Oklahoma. So obviously you have Brent Venables coming back as the head coach. Vegas right now, when they look at this Oklahoma squad, they are predicting them to come in at 7.5 wins. That seems kind of low, doesn't it? It seems like 7.5 wins is really low for an Oklahoma Sooners football team. But the reason Vegas is coming in at that is this is a really difficult schedule. Now, they don't play every hard team in the SEC this year, but they do play a lot of them. But it's still pretty low. Now, they are new to the SEC, so some of these teams they haven't played in quite some time. Brent Venables, though, he's been building a very solid team, strongly building a strong team deep from the foundation up, building depth at every single position, and he's been doing it the right way. He's been working the portal, but he's not been ignoring recruiting. He's been bringing in top 10 portal classes as well as top 10 recruiting classes. So this team is deep at every single position. Now the defense showed massive improvement last season from Brent Venables' first year. They took a massive step. I think they went from like number 90th to number 60th or 50th in the country in total defense. So that's a massive step, and they will continue to take those steps forward. Dillon Gabriel, the Heisman-level quarterback from last season, he's transferred to Oregon, but I don't know that they're going to miss him. So they're actually bringing in 5-star Jackson Arnold, who's going to look to build on the performance he had in the bowl game. He went off, and he's going to be in an offense that's going to let him air it out, with Seth Luttrell taking over as the offensive coordinator. Jeff Lebby's off to Mississippi State. Seth Luttrell is a Mike Leach guy. They're going to air it out, but they're also not going to ignore the run. Many pieces return. You have the wide receivers, Farouk, Anthony, Anderson. You're picking up Burks, who is transferring over from Purdue. So there's a massive depth at the wide receiver core. One of the big questions is, we need to get a 1,000-yard rusher. There was no 1,000-yard rusher last season. Someone has to step up. It's probably going to be Salchuk. He was the leading guy last year. They're going to be putting the workload on him this year. As we mentioned earlier, the defense is loaded. 11 of their 13 leading tacklers are all back. That's great. That's massive news. You have the linebackers, Statesman, Bowman Jr. These are NFL-level guys. Secondary is going to be deep. They have Washington. They have Malone. This is a Brent Venables type defense. They're going to get after the quarterback. They're going to shut down the passing game. Big question is, how are they going to do their first year in the SEC? So let's take a look at this 2024 schedule. They pick things up with a couple easier games. Saturday, August 31st versus Temple. This is a game to get the quarterback, Jackson Arnold, some reps, get the defense some reps. They're going to run through this one. It's going to be a blowout. They're going to unleash it on them. They're going to win this one, let's say, a 55-10, and they're 1-0. Then they follow that up Saturday, September 7th versus Houston. Houston's had some pretty massive turnover. You have Dana Holgerson got fired. They're bringing in Fritz from Tulane. He's now going to be the head coach there, but he's having to completely flip the roster. So there's going to be a massive talent gap here. Oklahoma should be able to handle them easily. They're going to beat them, let's say, a 45-14 game. They're 2-0. Then Saturday, September 14th versus Tulane. So the team that Fritz left, obviously he left. They had a lot of their best players transfer out, a complete rebuild for the coach there. So this isn't the Tulane of old that's won over 10 games the last 2 seasons. They're not going to be that good this year. Oklahoma is going to handle them easily. I'm going to put it at a 47-17 game. They're 3-0. Then Saturday, September 21st, we start getting into SEC play, and you pick up with Tennessee. Tennessee is a loaded team. They have a 5-star quarterback, Nico, there. They have Josh Heupel. They have Squirrel White. They have so many offensive weapons, and they also run the air raid system. They're so talented on offense, they should be more than capable of getting into a shootout with anyone. But I also think Oklahoma's that same way. These teams kind of mirror one another. They both have solid defenses. They both have deep wide receiver cores. They both have young 5-star quarterbacks. They both run the air raid. They both have 2 talented coaches. They're both in the same conference. So this game's almost a 50-50. Like I said, they're almost practically mirror images of one another. I'm going to go with Oklahoma getting the win. They are at home. I think they're you could say I don't want to say they're better rounded because these teams are very similar, but I just think that this is going to be Oklahoma's game to lose. I have them winning this one, but in a close one, 33-30, and they're 5-0. Then Saturday, September 28th, you have at Auburn. Auburn's always a tough place to play. Hugh Freeze is completely transitioning that roster over. They have Peyton Thorne back at quarterback. Their offense was horrible last year, but they did have a really solid defense. They've had a lot of playmakers transfer over. Hugh Freeze is going to get them there, but he is having to work the roster. This is only his second year. I have Oklahoma. They're just the deeper team. They're going to be able to handle them at Auburn. And they're 4-0 from the previous game. But they're going to beat Auburn. Also, I have this one being a little bit of a lower scoring one, a 28-23. Oklahoma's now 5-0. Then Saturday, October 12th, the big one versus Texas. Texas also going over to the SEC. They did make the college football playoff last season. They have Quinn Ewers back at quarterback. They did lose a lot at the wide receiver core. They lost Mitchell. They lost Worthy. They lost a lot of guys on their defensive line. But this is also a top 5 roster in all of college football. But Oklahoma's not that far. They're number 11 according to ESPN's roster counter right now. So they're both very talented. They're both deep. Texas is probably going to have a top 30 offense, top 30 defense. They're going to be well-rounded. I think Texas, who just barely lost this game last year, I think Texas gets revenge, takes a close one versus Oklahoma this season. Let's say it's going to be a 34-28, and Oklahoma's 5-1. Then Saturday, October 19th versus South Carolina. Obviously, South Carolina, Rattler's gone. Beamer, he's really on the hot seat. Oklahoma's going to be looking to rebound over that loss versus Texas. They're going to run through them. It's going to be a 45-20 game, and they're 6-1. Then Saturday, October 26th, at Ole Miss. So you really see the schedule starting to get a lot more difficult as we're getting deeper into conference play. Ole Miss, obviously, they won the transfer portal this offseason, the number 1 class. You have Jackson Dart. You have so many weapons on offense. They've completely overhauled their entire defense. Defense was average last season. They should be maybe above average this year, but their offense is going to be really good. Jackson Dart is also going to have a lot of Heisman hype. I have Ole Miss getting the win at home. To me, they're just the more complete, experienced team as of right now, but I don't say that the gap is very far. If Oklahoma won this, I would not be surprised, but Ole Miss is going to win it 34-27. Oklahoma's 6-2. They follow that loss up Saturday, November 2nd versus Maine. They're obviously going to blow them out. They're going to take some revenge on them. 50-10, and they're 7-2. And then Saturday, November 9th at Missouri. Missouri has a really easy schedule this year. They're probably going to start out the year in the top 10 as well. They have Cookpack, Burden. This is a loaded team. I have Oklahoma getting the loss here. It's also on the road. This is almost 50-50. I would not be surprised if Oklahoma won this at all. I do think they are the better team, but I think they're a little more beat up. Missouri has a pretty easy schedule this year, so they're probably going to be a little more fresh. Missouri's going to win it 30-24. Oklahoma is 7-3. Then after that, Saturday, November 23rd versus Alabama. Tough game. Kalen Deboer takes over as head coach. You have Milroe there. You have the number 1 roster according to ESPN. I have Alabama getting the win here on the road, winning this one 33-28. Oklahoma is now 7-4. And then Saturday, November 30th at LSU. LSU, obviously, they lost Jaden Daniels, who won the Heisman. They lost Den Brock, the offensive coordinator, to Notre Dame. They've been recruiting well. They didn't do too good in the portal this past offseason. They did not build up their defense because their defense was pathetic last season. But I have Oklahoma taking revenge. When everyone thinks they're going to lose this game, they're probably going to be not favored to win this game. I have Oklahoma finishing the season on a high note because, as I said, this is an extremely talented team. It's just the schedule's